making sure this is recording. All right, we are recording. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I know most of you on the Zoom tonight. My name is Jason Cohen. I am on the board of directors at Share Me. I co-chair the engagement committee. Risa, as you all know, is is vice president of WOSA, Women of Share Me, and she's also part of our engagement committee. And she has graciously stepped forward to host our first, hopefully of several, baking events, Challah with Risa, and we're hoping that this is the first of other programs that we're going to do for the upcoming year. Risa, I'll turn it over to you. Hopefully everybody got the instructions with the recipe and the ingredients, and go ahead and get started. Risa, turn it over to you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jason. So welcome to Challah Baking with Risa. I'm Risa. And as Jason pointed out, I'm vice president of WOSA, Women of Share Me, but this was really part of the engagement committee activities. Due to COVID, we felt that we're not getting together. I mean, some things are happening at Share Me, but I think maybe we're not having as much activity together as we could. So we thought this would be a fun way to do it. Hopefully you agree with that in the end. For a full disclaimer, I'm not an expert challah baker. So Arthur, if you are, be kind. And I'm not a Food Network star, so bear with me. And since we're all friends, I would like, as a favor, if for some reason a fly lands on my head during the evening, please tell me, right? I mean, I don't want to be a meme tomorrow. That's all I'm saying, okay? So let me tell you the plan for the evening, because in full transparency, making challah takes time. And I don't know that we want to stay here for the whole length of time that it's going to take. So we're going to break this up. So if you want to do it with me, that's great. I hope you will. But there will come a point where you're going to have to do it on your own. And I'll give you my email address and phone number. So if you run into questions, you can give me a call. Also, so what we're going to do is the first step, which is get the yeast started. And then we're going to have to take about a 10-minute pause while I do some talking while the yeast does its thing. So just so full transparency, you can leave if that sounds bad to you. Okay, so and no matter what, hopefully you'll wind up tomorrow night for Shabbat. You'll have a nice couple loaves of okay. So to go over the ingredients, you're going to need 2 eggs to start. You'll need a third later when you want to put it on the challah before it goes into the oven. You're going to need a third of a cup of oil. You're going to need sugar, a half a cup, 4.5 cups flour, a cup of water, and ideally the water would be room temperature. So, hopefully you have it set out, or if not, you could go get it now. One cup of water. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of yeast, a half a teaspoon salt. I'm wearing an apron because I'm a slob, and I have a towel to cover my dough later and a wood spoon. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, and also I've had some questions about the yeast. There are different types of yeast. There's instant and there's quick acting. There are, or active dry. There are some differences, but for the purpose of this activity, it doesn't matter. So, there are, like I said, there are differences, but don't worry about it. Okay, so in your bowl, you're going to do a half a cup of sugar. Okay, you're going to do your 2 tablespoons of yeast.
Risa, may I ask a question?
Of course.
What should the temperature of the water be? Because I do have a thermometer, because I never get it right.
Well, I'm not that particular. So mine is just room temperature. It's neither hot nor cold. So as long as it's not extreme, like if it's too hot or too cold, you'll kill the yeast. So I would, if it's room temperature, great. If not, just make it warmish.
Yeah, that's what I have.
I've heard to limit it to like 105, 110.
105.
Fahrenheit.
Okay, let me check that.
Okay, so you have the half cup of sugar in there, the 2 tablespoons of yeast, and 1 cup of water. Okay. And you're going to use your wooden spoon or whatever you have, and you're going to mix it up. The object is to try to get the yeast to dissolve, but you know, there still could be a few little pieces in there. It will dissolve as it sits here.
Oh, here goes nothing. Oops.
Now, I should have said this before, like I'm using a big enough bowl that I can make everything, just pour everything in here, as opposed to some people might use a little bowl and put the yeast, make the yeast in there. That's fine too. So I'm getting all the little kind of chunks that are on the side there. And just so you know, if you've opened a package of yeast, it should be stored in the refrigerator once it's been opened. And what the yeast does is, you know, whether we're proofing it or not, but once you put it in the recipe, the object is that it's fermenting. So the sugar and the starch is being converted into alcohol and carbon dioxide, and that's fermentation. And then that enables the baked goods to rise. And I'm still mixing it a bit. Okay, and now I'm going to leave it here for about 10 minutes. Okay, so while we wait for the yeast to ferment, I am going to read a Devar Torah that Amy Bwandana was kind enough to send, and it's about challah. Okay, so God in heaven, according to your holy commandment, I set aside a portion of my bread dough for you. This pious custom reminds me not only of our people's past, of how our ancestors laid their first fruits at your altar with joyous hearts, but also that even today, we can bring God-pleasing offerings to the altar of love and humanity. When we relieve the hunger of the poor, satisfy their needs, soften their misery, and ease their worries, we are making these offerings to you, parent of the poor and unfortunate. So parent of all, accept this challah offering, make my heart firm and faithful, that I may also be prepared to bring greater and higher offerings before you with faithful joy and willingness. Bless this, our daily bread, O Holy One, that we may earn it in honor and without suffering, that its enjoyment may bring us blessing and prosperity, that we may savor life and all its goodness in the fullness of health and strength, that we may bring cheerful and elevating spirits to our praise of you, giver of all goodness, and fully dedicate ourselves to all our duties. Praised are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who has made us holy through your commandments and has commanded us to separate challah. Amen. Okay, so I mean, I thought that the Devar Torah was appropriate because, of course, it's about challah, but it also talks about poor people and helping those who are hungry. Okay, so we're very lucky. We're sitting here making challah just for fun, you know. Not everybody is as lucky. So, since Rosh Hashanah, the food bank the food pantry, I should say, has been collecting a lot of food, but it could always use more. So please consider donating. This coming weekend and the following weekend, they're doing the food sorting, food collecting, food boxing, and everything else. So I think there's signups available. I think I took the last position for Sunday, but check it out. They could always use more help, and they could always use more food. So feel free to donate. Okay. The food pantry serves individuals at Chirami if they need it. It serves individuals in the community, and it serves agencies. They could come and get food if they need it. We're there. Okay.
Risa?
Yeah.
Yeah, as a late breaking news, because this was just decided, the Tikkun Olam Committee has decided to change the name from food pantry, which it's been forever, to a food bank in recognition of the fact that there are really, fortunately, very few share me people who come to the now bank, but we are a very active and very successful food bank. And we service, I believe, 8 or so different regional food pantries. So the latest nomenclature, you may be the first to hear this, is
Wow.
it is now the food bank.
Okay, that's great. So I was right when I called it the food bank in the first place.
You were right.
But regardless, we could use more food, right? I mean, we serve a lot of people. I think there was a little while where maybe we were low on food. Hopefully that's being corrected. But you could never have too much food to donate to other, for other people to take who need. So feel free to participate in that all year long, not just, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur or this. Okay. So other things that are going on at Shir Me now, I mean, preschool is in session in person, religious school is in person. I know Shafty is doing some things virtually and some things in person. I think they're going apple picking this weekend. I wish I were a kid again. I know Barbara Roth is working with Shaq to have a virtual bingo, and WOSA is getting started on having activities. We're going to have a virtual bingo, Maj tournament. There's book clubs throughout the synagogue. Rabbi Briskin is doing, obviously, the services Friday night and Saturday morning. He's doing meditations, coffee hours, bike rides, and there's going to be a virtual auction coming up. So you may have seen that or received an email, or Becky Markowitz is always posting fabulous things. So take advantage and definitely give your ideas. We can always use more ideas. Okay. So tonight we're making a basic challah. Okay, it's going to be basic but delicious. You could conceivably make cinnamon sugar challah. That's right here. Okay. I made one with Nutella. So this isn't burnt, but that's all Nutella. So that would be delicious. These are both served best warm. Okay. You could, I've made this before, I've added shredded cheese to my dough, although you shouldn't do that if you're going to be having it with a meat meal, I want to try a garlic challah. And of course you could make, there's nothing better than French toast made out of challah. Okay. So the term challah, and I think, Jason, there's someone wants to get in. I can see that. The term challah is not specific to any type of bread. Like, it doesn't have to be braided to be considered a challah. A challah is really any ritual bread, anything used for a ritual meeting. It could be some people, they could use their bread machine and they can make a loaf of bread. And if they're serving it on Shabbat, that's considered a challah because it's the ritual bread. Okay. And it came about in the beginning because it was a bread that Moses ripped off of pieces and gave to the Jewish priests. Okay, so it's really any bread that's used as a ritual. In the old days, a challah could have looked like a pita, and then it was braided for, this is what I read about anyway, it could be 2 reasons. One is because you can't put everything in a challah because you have to be concerned that you're going to serve it with meat or dairy. So, but other breads don't have to worry about that. So the challahs were braided so that they look different than the other breads. So you could tell the difference and make sure you use the challah when you were trying to be kosher. Some say that it was also because they were being cooked in ovens that maybe meat was being cooked in, and because they were braided and kind of compacted like that, they didn't mix with the meat. So they were able to stay contained and stay separated. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you have 3 braids or 5 or 6. I mean, it matters to me because, you have to be talented and patient to have more braids. And I'm neither of those, so I go with the fewer braids. But the the thing about the braids is that they look like arms and they're intertwined, and it kind of looks like represents love. Okay. And then in the case of 3 braids, they represent truth, peace, and justice. Also, like on Shabbat, you could conceive some people would serve 2 small ones or 1 large one. And if you were doing 2 small, in theory, there should be 6 humps, if you will, in each one. So that's where the braids intersect. So if you do 2 of them, there are 12. And if you do 1 long one, there could be 12 humps. And those represents the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay. When I make a challah, I'm just trying not to make a mess. So I don't know how many humps there will be. Okay. Then you have a round challah. And that is symbolic because it talks about continuity. So, you know, the seasons continue on, the years continue on, and it's just eternity. I also found this is the first round challah I made. And again, I was seeing on Google, you know, some people could do it with 6 braids, folded, braid the thing into a circle. I took the easy way. I made 1 long strand and rolled it into itself. So it kind of looked like a cinnamon roll, but that was the easy way, and it came out with a beautiful round challah. That was my first time. Okay, so you could give that a try at some point. Now, I think we're probably at 10 minutes or close enough, and you're probably tired of hearing my voice. Okay, so we'll go to the next step. We're going to take our spoons again, and we're going to mix the challah, mix the yeast again. It should be kind of like all silky. Everything should be, there should be no big pieces of yeast in there. Okay, does everybody have that? Mine is it's kind of like an ugly, I don't want to spill it, that's something I would do, but an ugly brown water. Okay. Now we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of oil. And I'm using canola vegetable oil mix. You could use one or the other. I don't know about olive oil, but I'm adding the 1/3 cup right into the yeast mixture. Okay. I'm adding 2 eggs. And if I'm going too fast, stop me. I heard the chauffeur, I think. And I'm going to add half the flour. So that's going to be 2.5 cups. Oops, this is sugar. Let's not do that.
Risa, I have a really quick question. I watched you on the internet before. So, and I have a problem with Zoom on mine.
Okay.
How long do I have to let the yeast sit? Because I just made it.
Okay. It's about 10 minutes.
Okay. And after the 10 minutes, what am I adding? The oil?
Right. That's what we're up to now. We just added 1/3 cup oil.
Right. And 2 eggs.
2 eggs. And now we are about to, if I can find my measuring cup, where did it go? We're going to add 2.5 cups of flour.
1.5 cups of flour. Okay.
We're only going to add half the flour to start. So
You feel like doing the Devar Torah again so that I have time?
I'll read it to you separately. I honestly don't think anybody wants to hear my voice drone on about it.
You have a lovely voice.
Oh, thank you.
Is the yeast hard to dissolve in this?
Well, what I had done was I felt it is a little hard, so I put it in there. I stirred it up as much as I could, got a lot of the pieces to break up. And then what I found was that if you left it for the 10 minutes, when you came back, it was all dissolved and the water was, you know, an ugly brown color, but it was nice and silky. All the pieces had dissolved.
Okay, sounds good. All right, continue. I didn't mean to,
It's fine. You're absolutely fine, Barbara.
yeah, I'll be fine as long as I don't lose you on my Zoom again.
Well, as I said at the beginning, you have my phone number, Barbara. Just call me up when we're done and I'll walk you through it.
I know where to find you,
You
Risa.
do. Actually, you know, you've been to my house, you call me. Okay, so now I'm gonna add,
You know, speaking of which, while I have some of the people on the you know, the Zoom, I want to take advantage and just say, if you haven't ordered your script, we'll be out there on the 18th to deliver it again. So you still have time to contact Donna DeSantis and order your script.
and
Can I ask a question, Risa?
sure,
Did you say you sent a recipe? Because I'm not aware of seeing the recipe.
Did you see the email that went out from
I
Rabbi
did.
Briskin this morning?
I did.
And it was entitled Learning, Baking, and Voting with Share Me. It went out at
Yes.
8:29 this morning.
Yes,
It was
I'm
in the
aware of
mail.
that.
The recipe's in that email.
Oh, okay.
and it went out with, I think Jason had sent it out at some point, but,
Yes, it was in one of, two of the weekly e-news emails that go out on Sundays as
Is
well.
it out? Jason, is one of them out from you so I can just quickly look it up?
No, it's not from me, it's from Share Me. So it would have been.
am I going too fast?
Oh,
If you'd like, I could bring it up on the screen to share, if that would help everyone.
That'd be great.
Just bear with me a minute while I do that. And
Then Risa, I don't know how comfortable you are saying your phone number.
Sure, absolutely. My cell phone number is 215
215
806
806
7834.
7834.
Would you like my email address as well?
Sure.
Okay, so it's RISA
Uh-huh.
LK,
I'm sorry, RISA.
right? The letter L,
Uh-huh.
KANE,
KANE.
the
Uh-huh.
number 1
Uh-huh.
at Verizon.net.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's for anybody if you have, and if you need me to send you the recipe, I can do that too.
Okay, cool.
So I'm adding, so you've added the oil, the eggs, and 2.5 cups of flour. You've mixed that. And now I'm adding another 2 cups of flour.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Is it lumpy looking? Because mine's lumpy looking.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Does the salt go in at this time, Risa?
What?
Does the salt go in as well?
Yes, it will have, yeah. Who is asking me? Here.
Okay.
Oh, there is what it looks like. Can everybody see what it looks like?
Yeah.
And then, so I've added the 2 cups of flour, and I am going to add half a teaspoon of salt.
Half a teaspoon.
Susan, does this work for you, or these are the ingredients?
Yeah.
And then this is the baking directions.
Yeah, as long as I stay with her, I'm okay. I'm just concerned that if I end up getting lost in the shuffle
Okay.
here.
Well, you know what's going to happen? We're approaching, unfortunately, the part where I'm going to have to show you, and then you're going to have to do it on you're going to have to just watch and then do it on your own.
Okay.
Okay, but right now so now it's really hard to mix, right? Because there's
Yes.
a lot of flour in there.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm using my wooden spoon.
Oh, my KitchenAid.
Yeah, there. Now, I hope you think this is fun. I know many of you might be watching Jeopardy instead, but so hopefully this is better than Jeopardy. Okay, so
I'm just gonna put everybody who's not on mute. So if you want to speak again, except for Risa, of course.
okay, now I've used the,
Supposed to be watery?
what?
Is it supposed to be watery? Mine's still watery.
Right, did you put, how many cups of flour have you put in?
4.5.
Okay, well, keep mixing it. Mine is not watery, so I don't know if,
Yeah, I have too much.
I mean,
So,
this is what mine looks like.
no, mine doesn't look like that. I think it needs more flour.
So I would just, yeah, like you said, just add more flour. And since mine is, now I'm using my hands to mush it all together. This is a good workout. My only workout.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask another question. I still have flour left. Am I supposed to have flour left at this point?
No, you were supposed to use, there was supposed to be 4.5 cups of flour. And
Right.
at this point, all the flour should be in the bowl.
Okay.
So that could be why it's watery.
No, I'm not the watery one.
Oh, you're not the watery.
No, I'm actually quite, wow, it's hard here. Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, how many people, well, I don't know if some of you are on mute, but has everybody made challah before?
Nope.
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 Yes.
I'm making a mess.
I have, yes.
Made it when I was in first grade at religious school.
What did you say?
I said I made it when I was in first grade in religious school.
Oh,
Well, everyone's learning to do at the same time, so this is great.
absolutely. So if you,
So do you always need the challah in the bowl, or do you put it on a board?
well, you could do it either way. Typically, I'm not smart enough to use a big enough bowl, so I wind up spilling it out on the counter. But today I'm using a big enough bowl, and the fact is that by doing it in the bowl, it contains a lot of the mess. So you could do whichever way you prefer. If you're going to do it on your counter or a board, I would flour that counter or board first so it doesn't stick.
And doesn't matter whether you use a metal bowl or a wooden bowl or plastic?
No, and I'm using plastic right now, but
Thank you.
you're welcome. Now you should keep kneading it until it's not sticky. Anybody else warm? This is a lot.
Everyone's getting in their arms work.
Right, exactly. So just so everybody can see, this is what mine looks like right now. Like a big ball of dough. So how's everybody doing?
Good.
Very dirty.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't worn long sleeves.
Yeah. And black was wrong.
Right, I'm wearing black, yeah, but I do have an apron on.
That's the next time. That's the next cooking class.
Next time we'll put that in the instructions as well.
And is it safe to eat the dough? Because I'm kind of eating the dough and it's good.
That I don't know, so I am not responsible.
When I get my stomach problem tomorrow.
Right. Hopefully you're not eating that much, but you know, there's a lot of eggs in there, so.
Nah.
I mean, I eat cookie dough all the time, so I'm, you know. Right, so now. And I can't wait until people are ready, but what I was saying before is that unfortunately, now we have to let it rise for about an hour. So I'm putting a towel on top of it, the bowl, and I'm gonna set the bowl aside. So fortunately, earlier today, I made a separate batch of dough. Ooh, look at this. This is what it looks like now that it's risen for, like mine is, I left mine having risen for 2 hours. So it's bigger and it looks kind of flat like a pancake.
Are you sure you're not trying out for a cooking show or baking show? You know exactly what you're doing.
I'd love to do
The
it.
next phase already an hour later.
What did you say?
I said, you know, on cooking shows, they show you like an hour later what it should look like. So you were ready to.
Yeah, well, I watch cooking shows all the time, so I know exactly what to do. Yeah, and now unfortunately, at the end of this show, let's see, I have the six challahs I made yesterday and a bunch that I just made with you guys, and now I have this one. So if anybody doesn't want to make their challah and wants to come over and get some of mine, that's fine too. So is everybody ready for me to proceed?
Almost. Risa, you said that if we keep kneading, it'll stop getting sticky?
Yes. You could add a little more flour. I mean, for me, I've already finished, so it shouldn't take, you know, too long. And I think someone's trying to get in again, Jason. While people keep working, I'll tell you that you guys are going to have to make 2 decisions now. Okay, so you can leave your dough to rise, leave it for an hour, and then if you want to tonight, you know, you would do the braiding part, and then you'd have to let it rise another half an hour, and then cook it, the bread. If at some point you didn't want to do it all tonight, all you have to do is store the dough in the whether you braided it or not, you would store it in the refrigerator so the yeast doesn't die. But if you don't feel like doing it tonight, that's enough. The other decision you have to make is, you know, I had said get either 3 small tins or 1 large one. And I think it was Heather asked me why. And I realized that was a great question. And the reason why is because I'm used to doing this at the Great American Challah Bake. And they have us to split this batch of dough into 3 challahs, which is a good idea because then you get to practice the braiding 3 times. Okay. But you could make this all 1 challah if you want to. You could make it 2 challahs, or you could make it 3, whatever you choose. It doesn't have to be 3 challahs. You could also, if you want, you could put it in a small tin, but I realized that the challah bake had me do that so I could carry the challahs home. You guys are at home, so you don't have to do that. You could put it in a loaf pan or 3 small loaf pans, or I know one of you had a big one of these, you could put it on that. Or you could just cook it on a cookie sheet. So yesterday, I cooked on a cookie sheet as opposed to in a loaf pan. So I was able to get as big as possible. Now, mind you, this was 2/3 of a recipe, and this is what I got.
But mine should come out half as good. Risa,
I'm amazed, but anyway. So this This is,
have to just tell you that
Yes.
I lost you twice. I don't know if it's a weak Zoom signal, but Shelley Cohen has also lost you.
oh, no.
And I can't get her back. She can't get you back.
Well, we could have a separate,
I lost the Zoom and I don't know where the number was. All right. We may have to do that after. Did you add the salt yet to the yeast mixture?
yes. What we had done was the yeast mixture at this point, everybody is mixing up the yeast mixture. We added the oil, the eggs, half the flour, mixed that, added 2 more cups of flour and the salt, a half a teaspoon, and then everybody's kneading their ball of dough.
Okay. All right. That's what I wanted to know. All right.
And then what I told everybody, which you may not have heard me, is that unfortunately now it takes about an hour for the dough to rise. So
Right.
we're not going to be able to do that together because I don't think you want to hang with me for an hour. So,
I'll hang with you, you know.
all right, cool. So
Or I'll call you later.
that's fine. So put your dough, once you're ready, put your ball of dough aside, the towel over it, and an hour later it'll have, you know, it'll turn into say this. I don't know. Can you see me, Barb?
Yes, I can see you.
Right. This is what I got after mine rose for about an hour and a half,
Okay.
but it doesn't, you can't let it rise too much.
Okay. All
But
right.
then I was saying you have a decision to make. You could use that, well, you don't have to decide this yet, but you could make 1 challah out of all this dough, or you could make 2 or 3. So yesterday, when I was preparing, this is equivalent to the 2/3 of the dough, and this is the equivalent of 1/3 of the dough. The difference here is that this one I cooked in a small tin, and this one I used free form. So
Do you ever add vanilla to your dough?
I have not, but I think it would be delicious. Well, I would recommend that. Now, I thought it would be nice to make the 3 challahs so that we could get 3 times the experience of braiding. But again, you could do 1, 2, or 3 challahs, whatever you want to do. So,
Risa, can you welcome Shelley back on?
sure.
Oh,
So did everybody get my phone number and email address in case you're having?
yeah, but what I want to ask you is, you told us to cover it, but you didn't say anything about the salt. So the salt goes in before you cover it?
Yes, sorry, I did say, you have to add, you added your 2 additional cups of flour and then a half a teaspoon salt.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that.
That's
Okay.
okay, sorry. And then
That's okay.
you mix it all up and, you know.
Risa?
your ball of dough.
Risa,
Yes?
if you were to make a raisin challah, at what point would you add the raisins?
I would think that you would add them now.
Okay.
And
Art, I've also seen recipes, pardon me, Risa, for butting in,
please,
but I've seen recipes where when you divide the dough into the thirds for making the braids, you could incorporate the raisins when you're making those ropes.
Okay. All
and
right.
actually, that's a good point because when I make my cinnamon one, my cinnamon sugar one, or even the Nutella, what I do is I divide the dough into the 3 strands and I flatten it out, the strands, and then I put my ingredients
What?
on those strands
Okay, you can go back down. If it cuts off, it cuts off.
and I kind of fold up those strands and then I braid it. So you're right, Amy, that could be a good point time to put, and then they would be evenly distributed, Arthur.
All right, well, that's good news because since I'm already at the rise stage, I could, when if I split it into 3, as you suggested, I could make 1 or 2 of them raisin challah at that point.
Right.
So that's great. Very good. Thank you very much.
Risa,
Thank
when you let your dough rise, do you oil the pan, not the bowl
bowl.
that you put?
I did not. And because I'm using a plastic bowl, or used it, nothing really stuck.
Yeah.
But you certainly could. I did read something the other day where you could use oil on it.
Yeah.
And so when if no matter what pan, like if I decide to use one of these or a cookie sheet, I'm going to oil those. So it could go wrong. So I'm going to break my dough into 3 and make 3 challahs, because you can never have too many challahs, and then I'll just maybe drive around and give them to friends and whatnot. I like to just kind of, I don't have a scale or anything. I'm just trying to feel that they're kind of more or less the same. And also, at this point, I am going to do my braiding on my island. So I put some flour on there.
This is an important election announcement. If you are one of millions of Pennsylvanians voting early by mail, complete your entire ballot in blue or black.
Okay, so now I don't know where everybody's at, but at this point, I've separated my dough into 3 separate challahs, or into dough to make 3 separate challahs. So 3 balls. Now I'm going to take one of the balls. I'm going to divide that into 3, because I'm making 3 strands. If you guys want to do 5 strands, which I can't help you with, you would divide yours into 5.
Big moment on General Hospital this week when Kimberly came to Fort Charles.
So now I've divided that one into 3 balls. I'm kind of squishing it all together again. And now I'm just rolling it out between my hands here.
Are you nervous at all?
And, use your best judgment. There's no right or wrong. I mean, the good news about doing it on a cookie sheet is that it's free form, so you have all the space in the world. When I was doing it in my little pans, I had to make sure that they fit in the pan. So I have like a strand that is this long. And I'm going to do 2 more of those strands.
Knowing how big of a fan your mother is, have you gone to her for any research?
She set the stage. She laid out basically everything.
I need to know that you're serious about me. Someone, I hear you have a little crush on one of the co-stars.
So I've got my second strand.
And Denise Richards is 6 feet away from me, and I was like, I basically ran away.
Risa, I missed a step. After you got done kneading everything, did you start rolling it for the strands?
Well, what I had said was that, so I had put mine aside because it's got to rise for an hour.
Oh, okay.
So I had a bunch of dough, a batch ready to go so I could show you what I'm doing.
Right.
So what I did was I took that batch of dough, and you have to decide how many challahs you're going to make.
I'm making one.
What?
I'm making one.
Okay, so you'll make 1 giant challah. I divided mine into 3, and then you would take your giant dough ball and you would make 3 strands. You take the 1 ball and do it into 3 smaller balls, which will make the strand.
Right.
So now I have 3 strands here. I'm going to attach them at the top just by smushing them together. And can you see what I've done here? So it's just smushed at the top. And I'm just going to braid them. I mean, I have 2 sons, so I never had the opportunity to braid a girl's hair, but it's not that difficult. So
watching all this.
Just be careful that you try to keep the braids close together, like make it tight.
Coaster relationship. Remember, he was a runner-up on first season of The She accepted a proposal from Jed, but after that didn't work out, Hannah asked Tyler out on after the final rose. You're an incredible guy, and I'm a single girl. But just a few days after they were out together, he was spotted with Gigi.
And I kind of have a mini one here. So this is what it looks like after I've braided it.
You're gonna finally teach Hannah how to say my name, Tyler, correctly.
Risa, did you say you refrigerated or you just set the dough aside for an hour?
I set it aside because I'm going to do it in an hour.
Okay.
If you don't feel like doing it tonight, you should put the dough in the refrigerator.
We're doing much better now. We are just trying to be friends. We're there for each other. We're gonna be
Okay, so I had one done. I'm making the 3 hollows, so I'm now going to divide the next ball into 3 little balls, and I'm going to make, try to see if they're the same weight,
I told you that one beat you, and on the other not.
Did you put that other challah in one of those little tin cans?
I did because it was small enough.
And it fit perfectly?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody also is not muted and I keep losing the picture.
What did you say?
Somebody is not muted and I keep losing your picture. There, somebody else comes up. I don't know if it's happened to everybody else.
That's happening to me also.
Oh.
I think I got muted too.
Yeah, that was my fault.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, if everybody, I'm trying to keep track of everybody who comes off mute. So if everybody could just remember to do that.
So just a reminder, if you're going to put it in this tin or if you're going to put it on a cookie sheet, just, either oil it or use some of this spray. Okay, so I'm working on my second mini challah. Now, Arthur, what I would be doing if I were putting raisins in it, see, I have a strand and I've kind of flattened it out. I don't know if you can see. It's a little flatter as opposed to round, and I would just be putting the raisins here and then kind of fold it over to hold them in.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. What I've done is I've put my cinnamon sugar mixture there, or the Nutella. Next time, garlic, salt. So I'm making my strands for the second challah, just rolling it, like you did with Play-Doh back in the day. There's no right or wrong lengths, except that they should be, consistent. And if you're using one of these small ones, don't make them too long. If you're using a cookie sheet, it doesn't matter how long, and it'll just expand as much as it wants to. So I'm squeezing the 3 braids together at the top. I don't know if you can see that. If you have any questions, stop me. And I'm braiding this again.
When do we use the extra egg? Is that for-
Okay, that's a good question. So that's really one of the last steps. So let's see. So I've got another one of these braided. I'm going to put it in one of these containers, these big loaf pans. And then what I would be doing is if I were, had done all 3, I would put I would break the egg. Let's see, I can do it right now. I'm gonna take it down. Break the egg. Mix it up with a fork. The egg wash. That's how you get the nice brown color here. And so, some people have like a pastry brush. Mine is in the drawer somewhere, so I'm just going to, pour it over my.
Risa, do I have to cover the dough with a towel or something? Is that what you? Yes.
Yes. So mine is over here. It's got a dish towel over the bowl.
Okay. There's mine. See, I'm gonna cover it.
Risa?
What?
Risa, so
Yeah.
when you use the egg wash, you use the entire egg, not just the whites?
That's correct. That's what I did.
Okay.
And
What
then,
should our oven be preheated at?
it should be preheated to 350 degrees. But remember, you're letting your dough rise for an hour. So you may not need to preheat it yet, or you can, but when it's time to preheat, you'll preheat it for 350 degrees, and then you'll cook your 1, 2, or 3 challah for half an hour. Okay, and I'm making my.
A half an hour is all that it bakes for?
Yep.
Really?
Do you do a second rise, Risa?
So what I do is, I put these in here, these containers. Now I'm going to let these guys rise another half an hour. That's why you may not need to preheat the oven quite yet.
Risa, is there a different baking time if you're going to do one large challah? Is 30 minutes for the little ones?
The 30 minutes is for the little ones. I'm not sure how long for this one I cooked yesterday for 30 minutes, and it's bigger.
Wow. Okay.
It may not be as doughy as you want, so I would keep an eye on it. It is good though.
How's it taste?
It's good. I wish you guys could all come over and have some.
I can smell it from here.
But yeah, to your point, Amy, I think it will probably take longer. Well, that one's well cooked. I mean, that one, I wouldn't have wanted that cooked any longer. It would just dried out, but maybe keep an eye on it. But Amy, thank you very much for sending that to Bartola. I think it was perfect for this.
This has been a great night. You're doing a great job, Risa.
I thank you, Amy.
I think this bodes well for a future baking series.
Okay, so what are you volunteering to make?
Homentashen. Amy, do the Homentashen.
We should get someone who's better at them than I am.
I love Hamantash, but I can never make it really well. So
yeah,
I know we have Debbie Shane who does. What does she do? The commish bread?
Yes.
I have an excellent recipe for Hamantashen, and it's actually the one that we've used throughout the whole school.
Really?
Yes.
Sounds like Barbara, you're volunteering.
That's what I heard.
I just heard that.
You know what, Jason? Is there anything else?
I motion Barbara.
By the time it comes time to make Hamantashen, maybe I'll be able to do that.
Okay.
I'll come up with something, Risa.
All right.
So it might not be very Jewish.
No.
But
And then I know Melissa Kaplan does. What does she do? She does
the arugula.
Arugula.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'd like to see somebody make a babka,
right, that would be great.
chocolate babka.
I can do
Well, I
that.
have to say,
You know the
Hollywood.
recipe?
What did you say, Amy?
Are you good at that one, Bonnie, or would you?
No. I'm looking to see how to make it. I've seen recipes and I made it once years ago, but it's kind of complicated, I think.
I will see if it's an appropriate thing for this sort of a venue. I can look into that.
Thanks.
Sounds great. Now, I also know that several years ago, I took part in a cooking event with Rabbi Eric.
Yeah,
Maybe he'd be willing to do something.
yeah. We made hummus with him.
Hummus, oh.
Right. I remember that. It was an Israeli food.
It's called shushushka, or I'm not pronouncing it. But the thing, and then you put an egg on the top.
Shashuka.
That's it.
While I'm here, I went back online to see the email that was sent because I'm still trying to find the recipe. So I see, please join us, register here, register for Zoom here. I see the ingredients. I don't see where I get the recipe.
It should have been in that same email, but let me get a pen.
Jason, you said that it was in the this same email.
I thought it was.
I'm looking right now.
I had given to the office, so.
Maybe I screwed up and didn't send it to you.
But as a follow-up after our baking session, I have everyone's email address, so I'll email out to everyone the recipe, the ingredients. At the end,
will you do that
share
tonight?
Some you could share some photos of your final product too.
Jason, will you send that out tonight?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So she wants to finish baking. So now this
Yes,
is the one where I made a small one, but I put it on directly on a baking sheet instead of in a tin. And what's going to happen is this one's going to get much bigger than the ones that are in the tins because it's not going to strain or anything. But I'm going to leave these sit for half an hour because they have to rise again.
That email with the recipe was from Rabbi Briskin at 8:29 this morning.
But did that include the recipe?
Yeah.
Okay. So now
it didn't include, it included the recipe, but not the directions.
I included the ingredients.
It includes the ingredients, but not the directions. That's correct.
No problem. I will send it out tonight.
And Jason, if for some reason you don't have it.
I have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was afraid maybe I thought I sent it to you and didn't, but.
No, I got it.
All right. So does anybody have any questions? Is everybody, like I said, you have my phone number and my email. If you run into trouble braiding, we can set up an individual Zoom or whatever you want. Because now mine are sitting here ready to, they're rising again. So in half an hour, I'll put those in. So just so you know, tomorrow, Sukkot ends at sundown. Shabbat starts at sundown, and so does Simchat Torah. So a lot of going on tomorrow at sundown, but hopefully you'll be enjoying your holiday.
So I have one other question. When I braid mine tonight in an hour, I can cover it and refrigerate it before I bake it tomorrow?
That's correct.
Bingo.
I have a question, Risa. Will you hold your challah and stand by the camera and smile so I can take your picture?
Sure. Well, which one do you want to hold? Let's see.
I missed it when you did. You stood there, but I missed it. Oh, you are the best. You're so cute. Smile. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Heather's our honorary photographer.
Okay.
Jason, you got that one too, so we can see.
I did.
All right. Watch out, Hollywood. Here she comes.
They say it's not true, and the camera doesn't add 10 pounds because I can't afford that. But
I do have one quick question.
Sure.
Where did you get it? Does this recipe kind of have a name? Did you get it from somewhere in particular?
I did get it from somewhere. So every year, well, not this year because of COVID, but they do there's this challah bake. It's called the Great Big Challah Bake, and so this is the House of Kosher recipe.
Right. And they also, I think at the time, because I did it too, they gave us an apron.
Oh my God. they gave you, what's amazing about it is, I've collected about 5 aprons. They also gave everybody a bowl, a wooden spoon, all the ingredients were counted out for you. They gave you a measuring spoon, I mean, I think this is fun, but that was also nice. I would do that again. I think not doing it because of COVID, obviously, but
we did that at Ben Salem High School. Is that where you did it?
that's right. And like I said, I've done it for the past like 5 or 6 years.
I don't want to pick him up.
Try to get as many people to do it. Kane and I, we usually bring about 15 people.
Yeah, we had a big group too. It was a fun night.
It's totally fun. What I would like to do, and we'll see what happens, is, maybe if we were going to have in person, we could have made this like for WOSA. I was going to suggest having Women of Cherami have it as our kickoff event. Like last year we did the painting. I was going to suggest this year we do a great big holiday. But
that's a great idea.
But we're doing this for now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I would bake challah repeatedly. So to me, the fact that we did it now doesn't mean I wouldn't do it again,
Well, you know what my mistake was? I did make, when I only did it one time, and I made 3 small ones in the tin.
Mm-hmm.
And someone there told me I could just freeze the dough and not worry. So I froze the dough, and then I put it in the oven weeks later, and it was awful.
Oh, no. They
never really cooked. It never really cooked inside. So I was.
Well, you know what happened is, part of the problem is I think it was so cold that you killed the yeast, maybe.
Oh, maybe. Well, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to braid my challah at 9:15, and I will cover it and put it in the refrigerator, and we will bake it and have it when I see Arthur at holiday, on Friday night services at 6:15.
Very nice.
Yes, with our wine in hand, right, Arthur?
Now you'll be online, right, for that? I'll be online too. It's my mother-in-law's yurt site, so I'll be yurt site. So I'll be on Friday night as well. I'll bring my challah.
Okay.
So you'll know if we don't bring challah, you'll know this didn't work out very well.
Or that I had to go to Manny's and pick one up.
Well, you
so Barbara, if yours looks like mine, we'll know where we got them.
That's exactly right.
And you can make a plug.
Turn out, you're going to have these.
Say that again.
You won't buy one. You have these that you've made.
Risa, what temperature did you say to preheat the oven to?
350.
350. Okay.
Yes.
And you could do a plug for Risa tomorrow night at services, especially when you hold up your challah for the one you made with her, right?
We will do that.
Okay.
No obligation.
Oh, by the way, Jason, as a little side note, Lily looked so beautiful last week.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure she was just wonderful.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was my daughter's bat mitzvah last weekend for everyone.
I want to see pictures.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mazel tov. That
Thank
looks
you.
lovely.
Thank you.
And now it's behind you.
Yeah, that must be a relief, but also sad, right? You put a lot of work in.
Yes. It was delayed from June, so it was it was a great evening. A great afternoon, I should say. Great service, and she did beautiful.
That's great.
Yeah.
In a way, I wish we had done that, because not that I wish this was going on back then, but my son did a great job, worked hard, and he did a great job, but he was so nervous, which I don't blame him about. You couldn't hear a word he said.
Huh.
And I didn't want to make a big scene and say, talk louder or you're going to get punished. But I was upset because you couldn't hear a word he said. Oh, well. Anyway, so that's all I have. But again, everybody has my phone number and my email. I'll be up because I have a lot of baking to do as well. So if you run into trouble, just give me a call.
Thank you very, very much, Risa, for doing this. I know that everybody appreciates it.
Well,
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you have fun. I hope that you have fun.
That was
Yes,
great.
thank you so much,
so
Risa.
much.
and,
My pleasure.
have a great night. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Risa.
Shabbat shalom.
You're welcome. Good seeing everybody.